Hello, and welcome to Evolution Lesson 1, Introduction to Evolution, the Basics. This is just me going over some key concepts with the notes with you together. I would expect you to read the notes by yourself afterwards. Okay, so what is evolution? In a nutshell, it's gradual change of populations over time in response to environmental factors. Okay, that's evolution in a nutshell. Evolution, slow, gradual change. Is it a theory that remains unproven? Well, on one hand, you could argue all theories remain unproven. I mean, you don't prove a theory, you just get evidence that supports that theory. And the theory of evolution is incredibly well supported through observation and experiment. It's one of the things that really underpins our understanding, our biological understanding of the modern world. So yes, it is a incredibly well supported theory that does a really, really good job of predicting a lot of things we see in the natural world. That's why we consider it to be a very, very effective theory. What is a species? Species are organisms that can interbreed with other species and have kids that are also capable of breeding. That, in a nutshell, is the species or the biological species concept. We also can think of a species as things that look the same, or a species as something that has a common ancestor. That would be what a species is. Are all species related? Yes. Yes, they are. People get so upset. Here's our little phylogenetic tree. Sometimes people get upset when we say that humans are related to primates, but really, how much more upset might they be if they understood that the theory of evolution actually says that everything ultimately evolved from a common ancestor that gradually changed over time and developed multicellularity and different tissues and different features. So, yes, ultimately, everything is related back to one last universal common ancestor who is also called Luca. What do genes have to do with evolution? So genes are what make something different. If somebody has different eye color, that's because they have a slightly different genetic material making their eyes or providing the information to make their eyes. So this variation is the raw material for evolution. The variation within a species allows organisms to be different and allows that difference to provide an opportunity for adaptation as the environment changes or as they locate different opportunities or niches within the environment. How does sex play a role in evolution? Well, it's how genes get passed on from one generation to another, but beyond that, it's also how new combinations of genes get created. So if you have variation within a species, every organism is a little bit different. That means every baby is like a brand new chance for something great. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. Is evolution a random process? No, it's not a random process. It's driven in a direction by the pressures of the environment. How do organisms evolve? They don't evolve. Why did you even ask that question? I get it. It's a trick. It's written right there. How do organisms evolve? Organisms don't evolve. Populations evolve. Okay, so you have variation within one organism. That variation gives that organism a selective advantage. That means their kids have a better chance of surviving. If you look at that population over 100 generations, you might find that the gene that was in that one organism is now in every organism. But it was a gradual change in the population over time. So organisms don't evolve, populations evolve. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, gee, Mr. Plus, how can we learn about the history of evolution? Do you have anything for that? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have this evolutionary scientist's timeline. So let's present it. And going back around 1770, this dude named Georges Louis Leclerc, Le Comte de Buffon, he was the Count of Buffoons, and he produced a encyclopedia. People were into writing encyclopedias back then, and he argued that the world was a lot older than we thought, very old, and a lot of things appear to be related. So this kind of planted the seed of evolution. And how did that seed evolve? See what I did there? Let's see. Let's look at that. So, James Hutton studied rocks, and actually, geography was the big entree into evolution. And another big entree was this idea that animals adapt. This new dude named Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, he observed that animals seemed to have traits that were well suited for their environment. Like a giraffe has a long neck to allow it to eat leaves at the top of a tree. He thought, oh, this giraffe must have stretched its neck and then it got a long neck and passed it on to its kids. That's called Lamarckian evolution. It wasn't right, but at least it was a theory of change. And speaking of change, we have this guy named Thomas Malthus who basically said, yeah, not only do organisms change, populations change. In fact, sometimes they just straight up go extinct. And what happens to those extinct populations that you don't know where they used to be here? How do you even know they were there? Fossils! That's right. So Georges Cuvier studied ancient life, and Mary Anning followed up on a lot of what he did. She was one of the world's greatest fossil hunters, also first discovered that fossils lived underwater as well. Charles Lyell built on a lot of the work of James Hutton, changes slow and gradual, evolution. And all these ideas were just percolating in the human consciousness and just needing a few people, one person, maybe a few people, maybe two people, to kind of put them together into a coherent theory. And that task fell upon Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace, who actually at the same time concurrently came up with the theory of natural selection leading to evolution. Why do we know about Darwin and not Wallace? Two reasons. One, he wrote this incredibly famous book called Origin of the Species. Two, people, even Russel Wallace, Alfred Russel Wallace, often referred to evolution as Darwinism. And three, he had been working on the theory for a lot longer than Alfred Russel Wallace, who just kind of came up with it overnight almost. And so he is often given credit, Charles Darwin, but really they developed the theory together. Has work been done on the theory since then? Absolutely. Here's just one example, Stephen Jay Gould and Niles Eldredge, the only person on this list who's still alive, I might add, developed a theory of punctuated equilibrium. So they just took the idea of evolution and said, yeah, that change that happens, it's slow and gradual, but it's not a constant slow and gradual change. What you have is change in a population until they're well adapted for the environment. And then guess what happens? Something happens to wreck the environment, like a meteor comes in and smashes everything up. And organisms have to change and adapt to the new environment. So what you see with the fossil record is long periods with no change and brief periods of cataclysmic change. And that, in a nutshell, is an explanation of the theory of evolution and the history thereof. Have a sweet, sweet day. Peace out.